Let me ask you something. In a world where alliances shift overnight, where power is measured in influence, not promises, who can a rising nation truly trust? Because today, India faces a serious problem. Every major power wants India on their side, but only as long as it benefits them. They offer deals, partnerships, and support, but behind the scenes they chase their own advantage. So here's the real mystery. If every nation has its own agenda, then why does India trust only one country? And the shocking truth behind that choice is something the world is not ready to accept. India's global dilemma begins with a simple but powerful reality. Every major nation wants India, but very few truly understand what India wants. As the world shifts into a new era of competition, influence, and strategic alliances, India finds itself at the center of global attention. Countries approach with offers, defense partnerships, trade agreements, diplomatic support, but beneath their friendly smiles lies a very clear motive. They want access to India's market, India's geography, India's workforce, and most importantly, India's rising power. This constant push creates a pressure that most people never see. India must navigate relationships where every word matters and every handshake carries hidden meaning. For decades, superpowers believed they could easily sway India by offering economic benefits or political favors. They expected India to align with them simply because they were powerful. But India is no longer a silent player. It has matured, grown stronger, and learned from history. The world's attempts to pull India into their circle created a complicated environment where trust became the rarest resource. Countries whispered promises but made decisions that often went against India's interests. They expected loyalty but didn't offer reliability. They talked about partnership but acted out of self-interest. This created a dilemma. Should India choose a side or stand alone? Should it follow the path others want for it, or carve its own? Every choice had consequences. If India moved closer to one nation, another would feel threatened. If India refused an alliance, the pressure would increase. If India accepted a deal, it had to question the intentions behind it. This constant balancing act forced India to look deeper, beyond diplomatic speeches and formal agreements. It made India realize that power alone does not guarantee friendship, and popularity does not guarantee trust. India has learned that trust cannot be built on speeches, promises, or well-crafted diplomatic statements. In global politics, every nation speaks of cooperation, friendship, and shared goals. But when pressure rises, the true nature of these relationships is revealed. India has watched this happen repeatedly. Countries that praised India publicly sometimes acted very differently behind closed doors. Some pushed for agreements that only benefited them. Others shifted their stance the moment global powers whispered in their ear. This taught India a crucial lesson. When evaluating trust, words mean nothing without consistent actions to support them. Over the years, India has faced situations where it needed allies not for celebration, but for crisis. During border conflicts, economic challenges, or geopolitical pressure, many nations who claimed to be partners suddenly disappeared. Some avoided taking a clear stand. Others maintained neutrality to protect their own interests. A few even used India's vulnerable moments as opportunities to negotiate harder. These experiences forced India to rethink its approach. It stopped judging countries by what they promised and started observing what they did when stakes were high. India began measuring reliability in moments when there was nothing to gain, only something to lose. The nations that stood firm during difficult times earned India's attention. The ones who acted out of convenience lost credibility. And slowly, India realized something important. Real trust is built on consistency. Any country can offer support when the situation is calm, but only a genuine partner remains when circumstances get complicated. This new understanding shaped India's foreign strategy. Instead of being swayed by big offers or flattering words, India started focusing on patterns of behavior. It recognized that loyalty shown in tough times carries more value than grand promises made during peaceful ones. Through this, India identified who truly respects its sovereignty, and who only acts when it suits their agenda. For India, discovering the one country that never wavered was not the result of a single event. It was the result of years of observing how nations behaved when situations turned unpredictable. In times of global tension, many countries adjusted their stance to protect their own interests. Some distanced themselves from India to avoid upsetting other powerful nations. Others offered conditional support, carefully balancing their words so they wouldn't offend anyone. But amidst this uncertainty, one country did something different. It remained steady, consistent, and unafraid to stand beside India even when it wasn't the convenient choice. This country didn't wait for the perfect political climate. It didn't calculate whether supporting India would anger another superpower. It didn't hide behind neutral statements or vague diplomatic phrases. Instead, it chose a clear position, support rooted in respect, not pressure. Whenever India faced border tensions, this nation provided firm backing without hesitation. When India dealt with international scrutiny or economic pressure, this country openly defended India's right to make its own decisions. And during times when India required strategic cooperation, it stepped forward without demanding anything unreasonable in return. What made this loyalty striking was the absence of opportunistic motives. Other nations often tied their support to trade deals, military concessions, or political influence. But this particular country approached India differently. The partnership was built on understanding, not exploitation. It considered India's security challenges as legitimate and India's aspirations as deserving, not threatening. The consistency of its actions created something rare in global politics: dependability. With every test, the bond strengthened. Every crisis revealed a deeper layer of trust. While the world assumed India would rely on traditional superpowers, India quietly recognized who truly stood beside it. This unwavering presence became a symbol of reliable friendship, a partnership shaped not by pressure or convenience, but by shared strength and unshakable commitment. India has always believed that true partnerships are built on equality, not manipulation. Over the years, it has dealt with countries that tried to shape the relationship according to their own agenda, sometimes subtly, sometimes openly. They used diplomatic language, economic incentives, or political pressure to push India into decisions that suited their interests. Many of these nations expected India to adjust, compromise, or follow their lead simply because they were more powerful on the global stage. But India observed something deeper. Behind all the offers and promises, there was often a hidden expectation of control. This created a clear contrast when India interacted with the one country that treated it differently. Instead of dictating terms, this nation respected India's choices. Instead of assuming authority, it approached India as an equal. Instead of pushing its agenda, it focused on mutual benefit, and that difference changed everything. India felt a level of dignity in this partnership that it rarely experienced elsewhere. This wasn't about gaining influence over India, it was about growing alongside India. Other nations often framed their engagement with India as guidance, as if India needed direction. They linked cooperation with conditions, expecting India to take sides in conflicts or adopt their worldview. But this trusted country never demanded loyalty in exchange for support. It didn't pressure India to speak or act a certain way. It didn't try to mold India's decisions. It simply respected India's independence. That respect became the foundation of trust. India saw that this country didn't fear India's rise, it welcomed it. It didn't treat India's growth as a threat, but as an opportunity for both nations. This level of acceptance was rare, almost shocking in a world where power often tries to control. For India, respect mattered more than resources, and sincerity mattered more than strategy. And in this nation, India found the rare combination of both respect and honesty, without hidden motives. The strength of this partnership comes from something far more meaningful than temporary agreements or strategic convenience. It is built on a shared vision for the future. Both nations understand that long-term progress cannot come from one side dominating the other. It grows when both stand together, invest together, and rise together. This country sees India not as a follower, not as a junior partner, but as a nation with its own identity, ambitions, and global role. That recognition created a bond that goes deeper than diplomacy. It created alignment. India has always aimed for stable development, technological growth, secure borders, and an economy strong enough to shape global decisions. Many countries promised to help India achieve these goals, but only if India aligned with their political demands. They treated cooperation like a transaction. But the one country India trusts understood something important. Real partnership comes from shared benefit, not pressure. It didn't ask India to choose sides in global rivalries. It didn't expect India to compromise its policies. Instead, it focused on building a relationship that would benefit both nations in the long run. Together, they discussed not just immediate challenges but long-term plans: energy security, defense modernization, infrastructure development, and regional stability. Their goals aligned naturally, without force. Both nations wanted peace in their region, not conflict. Both wanted strong trade routes, not dependency. Both wanted innovation, growth, and a future where their people could thrive. This alignment of values made the partnership feel less like an agreement and more like a shared mission. Over time, India realized that this country wasn't trying to shape India's path. It was willing to walk alongside it. There was no fear of India becoming too powerful, no hesitation in supporting India's ambitions, and no attempt to slow India down. This level of comfort and mutual respect turned cooperation into trust. It made India confident that this relationship wasn't temporary or conditional. It was built to last, driven by vision rather than advantage. The world's shock comes from a simple truth they never expected. India did not choose the country they assumed it would. Global powers believed their influence, wealth, or military strength automatically made them India's natural partners. They thought India would lean toward whoever appeared stronger on the international stage. For years, they tried to position themselves as indispensable, offering selective support whenever it suited their interests. They expected India to be grateful, compliant, and predictable, but India's final choice shattered those assumptions. When India revealed which nation it truly trusts, many governments were caught off guard. They analyzed India's economic ties, strategic deals, and political moves, yet none of them saw the deeper pattern India was observing. Global powers focused on what they could gain from India. India focused on who genuinely stood beside it. While some countries tried to influence India through pressure or persuasion, the trusted nation built its relationship through consistency and respect. This is what the world failed to understand. As India grew stronger and more independent, it became clear that no amount of diplomacy or economic incentives would sway its judgment. India wasn't choosing the most powerful country. It wasn't choosing the wealthiest. It wasn't choosing the loudest. It was choosing the most reliable, and this decision disrupted the expectations of nations that believed they held a guaranteed place in India's future. Some countries reacted with confusion. Others reacted with frustration. A few quietly adjusted their strategies, realizing they had underestimated the value India places on loyalty. But the truth remained the same. India trusted the one nation that proved its commitment during tough times, not the ones who appeared supportive only when convenient. This unexpected choice forced the world to reevaluate India not as a nation to be influenced, but as a nation that decides for itself, guided by clarity and conviction rather than pressure. In the end, India's journey teaches a lesson the world often forgets. Trust is earned through loyalty, tested through struggle, and proven through action. India doesn't trust easily because it understands the cost of misplaced faith. It has seen nations shift their positions like the wind, friendly one moment, distant the next. But the one country India stands beside today earned that trust not through power, wealth, or influence, but through consistency, respect, and an unbreakable sense of partnership. This relationship shocks the world because it shows that India doesn't choose based on pressure, it chooses based on principles. It doesn't follow trends, it follows truth. And as India rises on the global stage, that choice becomes even more important. Because a nation that knows who stands with it becomes unstoppable. A country that recognizes genuine loyalty becomes unshakable. And a partnership built on honesty becomes a force the world cannot ignore. India has chosen wisely, boldly, and confidently, and the world is finally paying attention. If this message opened your eyes, then don't just listen. Become part of the conversation. Share this truth. Spread this clarity. Let more people understand why India's trust is rare, powerful, and deeply intentional. Like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Your voice matters. Your support pushes these truths further into a world that often looks only at headlines, not reality. Thank you for giving your time, your attention, and your open mind. Your presence here isn't just support, it's strength. Until next time, stay aware, stay curious, and always look deeper than the surface. Thank you, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.